This is a SandyBoy Productions podcast.
Welcome to the Urban Pharmacy Podcast, where we help women remove the overwhelm of living their most holistic life. This is the place to find evidence-based nutrition tactics, healthy lifestyle and wellness tips, abundance mindset, and easily implementable low-tox living strategies so you can rise up to your full potential and protect your family's health. I'm your host, Stacey, certified holistic nutritionist and better living advocate. Now, let's get empowered with some simple swaps that make a big impact for optimal wellness. Hey, Health Crusaders. Hope you're having a great day. Today, I want to talk about the gut-brain axis, what it is, what we can eat to optimize our gut-brain axis, and why it matters. So let's dive in. It is Holistic Hack Tuesday in the private Facebook group called the Urban Pharmacy, and that is where we are live streaming this, talking about the gut-brain axis. So let me know if you are here and say what's up. If you are not listening in the private Facebook group, make sure that you are in the private Facebook group. So search on Facebook for the Urban Pharmacy, answer the questions, get yourself added so that you can have a daily health and holistic wellness inspiration and tips so that you can live your best life and rise up to your full potential. Speaking of rising up to our full potential, we are going to be talking about how to optimize the gut-brain axis, what it is, and again, what we can eat to optimize all of that. So let's first start off with the simple basics. What is the gut-brain axis? What in the world am I talking about? So here's a question. Have you ever gotten that feeling in your stomach where it feels like you have butterflies and it's like your stomach is tickling and like your heart is racing and you're just feeling like even queasy because you're nervous or you're excited? These are sensations that are coming from our stomach, our belly, our abdomen, our thorax, telling our brain that our brain and our gut are connected, right? Like these are not like, they're synonymous. They work together very, very much. So studies have shown that our brain affects our gut and our gut affects our brain. They work synergistically, very, very much so. So the communication between our gut and our brain is called our gut-brain axis. It's pretty simple. There it is, right there. So today I want to give you a high-level overview of the gut-brain axis and foods that are beneficial to its health as an overall system. So let's talk a little bit about how the gut and the brain are connected first. So the gut-brain axis is a term that is used for the communication network that connects your gut and your brain. And these two organs are connected physically and biochemically, which we're going to talk about in a lot of different ways. We're going to break it down to some like 101 ways that we can just kind of understand it. Okay. So the first way that they are connected is via the vagus nerve. Maybe you've heard of this if you've gone to like chiropractic care or if you know anything about like the human anatomy, the vagus nerve and the nervous system. So what is the vagus nerve? The vagus nerve is the main component of our parasympathetic nervous system, aka our PNS. Okay. What in the world is our PNS? Our parasympathetic nervous system is our rest and digest system. It is the system that we are using when we are calm, when we are sitting down and eating and chatting calmly with friends, when we're sleeping, when we're doing yoga, when we're at a resting state and we aren't stressed out, as opposed to the sympathetic nervous system where we are stressed, we are doing all the things, we are going. Okay, so the parasympathetic nervous system and the vagus nerve are one way that the gut and the brain are connected. And the parasympathetic nervous system oversees a lot of different functions in our body. So this includes mood and our immune response and our digestion and our heart rate. And then we have our nervous system, which has neurons. And neurons are basically cells that are found in our brain and our central nervous system, which is our brain and our brainstem. And they tell our body how to act, how to behave. So there are approximately 100 billion neurons in the human brain. And interestingly enough, our gut contains 500 million neurons. Our gut contains 500 million neurons. That is a crap load of neurons. That is a lot of cells ready to react to what's happening within the gut, right? That's a ton. So they are connected. These neurons are connected to our brain through nerves in our nervous system. And our vagus nerve is one of the biggest nerves that connect our gut and our brain. It sends signals both ways, up and down through our central nervous system. And studies show that stress, and we're talking about like not just like exercise induced stress, which is a good stress, but stress as a whole to our body hinders the signal that is being sent from our vagus nerve to our digestive system, causing issues. Okay. So along the same lines, there have been other studies that show that people with IBS and Crohn's and ulcerative colitis and constipation and diarrhea have reduced vagal tone, meaning that their vagus nerve isn't toned up. Just like if your, booty isn't toned up, it's probably sagging a little bit, which is totally happens with age. But here's the deal. We want to tone the vagus nerve so that we can optimize our gut. Okay. So we want to increase that tone. How in the world do we do that? Well, the vagus nerve is super important to the gut-brain axis and its role on stress. Okay. So there's that. Now, here's another way that the gut and the brain are connected, and that is through neurotransmitters. I remember learning this in physiology when I was in school, and neurotransmitters were like super cool to me. I was like, these are awesome. I want all the neurotransmitters and I want to optimize my neurotransmitters. So your gut and your brain are connected through these chemicals that are called neurotransmitters. And they are basically the chemical substance that make their neurons that I was talking about earlier, the cells, relay messages to different parts of your body, whether it's your organs or your cells or your muscle fibers or just fibers in general, or any system as a whole. These neurotransmitters are like epically important, okay? And they're produced in the brain. The ones that are produced in the brain, they're produced everywhere, like in our gut and our brain. But the ones that are produced in our brain affect our feelings and our emotions. So for example, the neurotransmitter serotonin, which I'm sure you've heard of, right? Serotonin, it's like that feel good neurotransmitter. It contributes to the feeling of happiness, and it also controls your body clock, also known as your circadian rhythm. And many of these neurotransmitters are produced in our gut. Our gut is producing these feel good neurotransmitters. So imagine if you're feeding your belly, if you're feeding your body, if you're feeding your gut with dead food, processed food, sugary foods, salty, oily foods, heavy animal product foods, which we're going to get into here in a minute. What is happening to your mood? Okay. So a large amount of serotonin is produced in the gut. Your gut microbes produce a neurotransmitter called gamma aminobutyric acid, also known as GABA, which we're just going to say GABA. because that's just too hard. The gamma aminobutyric acid is a little hard to say. Now, GABA helps control your feelings of fear and anxiety. And studies in mice have shown that certain probiotics can actually increase your production of GABA. And you can message me if you want to know which one that is. But there's thousands and millions of different probiotics, right? But there are specific ones that can help reduce anxiety and depression-like behavior. Now, our gut microbes make other chemicals that affect our brain, not just the GABA, not just the serotonin, but there are trillions of microbes that live in our gut, and they also make other chemicals that are known to help the brain work. And if you know anything about the book called Fiber Fueled, or if you're following Married to Health, who are gut microbiome experts, my friends Dahlia and James, who have been on the podcast, and Dr. Will Bolsowitz, gastroenterologist, you know about these trillions of microbes that are in our gut called short chain fatty acids, SCFA for short. And there are different ones: butyrate, propionate, and acetate. And they are all awesome for your gut, like awesome, AWESOME, awesome for your gut. Short chain fatty acids. Guess where short chain fatty acids are found? I'll give you 1 second to guess. Short chain fatty acids are found by digesting fiber. Fiber comes from plants. Can't get fiber in animal products, okay? So by digesting this fiber, our body creates short chain fatty acids, which affect the brain function in a number of ways. And they even reduce our appetite. And there have been studies showing that consuming short chain fatty acids can help reduce your food intake and reduce the activity in your brain related to reward from high energy, high calorically dense, high oil, high sugar, high salt foods. The pleasure trap foods, the foods that are making us stuck from not being able to lose weight, the foods that are making us stuck from feeling depressed, the foods that are making us stuck from giving us all sorts of diseases, such as high blood pressure, hypertension, adding to our risk for cardiac disease, cardiovascular disease, which is our #1 killer. Okay, so short chain fatty acids come from plants, and we need to be eating more because they have fiber and they help create these short chain fatty acids. Short chain fatty acids also mend the gut lining. So one of the short chain fatty acids, called butyrate, and the microbes that produce it within our gut are also important to forming the barrier between the brain and the blood, which is also known as the blood-brain barrier. You might have heard of leaky brain. I know you've heard of leaky gut, but leaky brain, if we don't have these short chain fatty acids, what's happening to our brain? If the short chain fatty acids keep the gut microbiome, gut lining mended, keeping the food particles that we don't want to get into our bloodstream, we would need the short chain fatty acids in our brain to do the exact same thing, right? Because we know that there's this gut-brain axis and they're connected very, very intimately. So, okay, now that we know how we can kind of heal, what's happening in terms of dishealth from the gut microbes that we have? So our gut-brain axis is also connected through our immune system. Did you know that our immune system is largely housed within our gut? About 70 to 80% of our immune system is in our gut, okay? And our gut microbes play an important role in our immune system and inflammation. I know everybody's heard of inflammation. Inflammation, it can be good acutely if you're trying to build muscle, but long-term inflammation is what leads to chronic disease. And so we're trying to take all the anti-inflammatories, right? And do all the anti-inflammatory things for our body so that we can mend, we can heal, and expedite that process. And the gut microbes that are in our immune system, in our gut, are controlling what is passed into the body and what is gotten rid of as waste. And our immune system, if it's switched on for too long, like I was saying, it can lead to inflammation, which is associated with a number of different disorders, including brain disorders like depression or Alzheimer's. And to me, that's very important. Alzheimer's runs in my family. So I'm trying to protect my brain as much as I possibly can. So this can happen between the gut brain, or between the gut barrier. And if this chronic inflammation doesn't go away, we're going to become leaky in our gut. And that allows bacteria, bad bacteria, and other unwanted particles to cross over into our blood. That's not good. So why we want these short chain fatty acids from fiber that is found in whole plant foods is because we want to keep that gut lining from getting leaky. Okay. So what in the world can we eat? I know that that's what you really want to know. What can we eat to help our gut brain axis? And there's a few different food groups that I want to focus on today that are specifically beneficial to your gut brain axis. But I'm going to emphasize again that fiber from plants only comes from plants. It doesn't come from cheese. It doesn't come from salmon. It doesn't come from eggs. It doesn't come from ice cream. It doesn't come from Wonder Bread even. It does not come from chicken. Fiber only comes from plants. I want to emphasize that these fibers in these plants help us create these short chain fatty acids, which are crucial to long-term gut health. Crucial. Gut health, brain health, gut health. They work together. So here we go. First things first, omega-3 fatty acids. I just took my supplement in form of algal oil, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But you don't have to supplement unless you want to. I take a supplement as an insurance policy because I am not perfect in the way that I eat every day. And I want to make sure that I'm covered for my brain and my gut. So these are fats. Omega-3s are fats. Okay. They're found in high quantities in our brain right now. And eating them helps our brain as well. So studies in humans and animals, both, have shown that omega-3s can increase our good bacteria in the gut and reduce brain disorders. So some good sources are chia seeds, Brussels sprouts. Yes, even iceberg lettuce has omega-3s in it, but you're going to have to eat like 10 heads. So anyways, Brussels sprouts are a concentrated plant source of omega-3s. Algal oil, which is found in seaweed, which is the type of omega-3 that I take, is actually where like fish get it. So if you've heard of fish being a great source of omega-3s, it's because they're eating the algae. They're eating the greens. That's where it comes from the plants. So, okay, chia seeds, Brussels sprouts, algal oil, hemp seeds, walnuts, and flax seeds, all good sources of omega-3s, okay? Great for the brain, great for your gut. They work together. All right, another little category, fermented foods, good for your gut, good for your immune system, good for your brain. Coconut kefir, sauerkraut, tempeh. Tempeh is fermented soybeans smushed together into like a cake. Good for your gut. Great source of protein. Natto. Have you ever had natto? I've actually been trying to ferment my own natto. It is made with soybeans, but it's like you add a culture to it, kind of like you're making sourdough bread, and it gets sticky and it's supposed to be like cheesy tasting. And I know it sounds really weird, but it is eaten by a lot of the people that live the longest on this earth. And I am trying to master natto. I actually bought a natto starter on culturesforhealth.com. So if you are a geek like me and like to do food science stuff, buy yourself a starter for natto. Okay, kombucha, miso, and kimchi. They're all fermented foods, okay? Fermented foods have been shown to alter the brain activity, okay? And all of this happens because of a really cool bacteria called lactic acid bacteria. So if you've ever made homemade sauerkraut, it has to catch the lactic acid bacteria, then it just like proliferates and makes this amazing fermented sauerkraut. Okay, anyways, moving on. High fiber foods. These are really good for your gut, good for your brain. Here's some examples. Whole grains, nuts, seeds, fruits, vegetables, plants, whole plant foods. A lot of them contain prebiotic fibers that are good for your gut bacteria. Okay, they feed the good gut bacteria. And prebiotics can help reduce our stress hormone called cortisol, which we all need. Every one of us do. I don't know anybody that's not slightly stressed right now, just a little. Okay, here's another category, polyphenol-rich foods. You might have heard of polyphenols. They're plant compounds, highly medicinal to the body. Foods that are high in polyphenols are cocoa. I would say switch that to cacao to get even higher amounts. Raw cacao, okay, but cocoa is still good. Green tea is great. If you know anything about me, you know I drink green tea powder called sencha every single day. It's a water processed decaffeinated green tea. Amazing prebiotics in there. Artichokes are good, polyphenol-rich foods, onions, spinach, and they all contain these polyphenols, which are plant chemicals, again, that are digested by your gut bacteria, and these increase your healthy gut bacteria and they improve your awareness and your focus. That's awesome. Okay, here's the last category that I'm going to leave you with today. Tryptophan-rich foods. Now, you might have heard about when everybody like stuffs their face on Thanksgiving and they're like, oh my gosh, it's the tryptophan that's making me tired. And it is, and it's in the turkey because it's highly concentrated in turkey. But we know that eating turkey has no fiber. It also has saturated fat. It also has other health consequences that we are going to try to avoid. So we're going to get tryptophan from plants instead. Tryptophan is an amino acid, and it is converted into a neurotransmitter, serotonin, the happy chemical. We've talked about it already today. Plant foods are high in tryptophan, and some of them include leafy greens, sunflower seeds, watercress, which you can even grow at home in a little tray of soil, soybeans, pumpkin seeds, mushrooms, broccoli, and peas. So eat your plants off, okay, to get some tryptophan foods. They make you happy. And Heather's asking, which green tea do I drink? I drink the Sami tea, sencha green tea powder, decaffeinated, water processed decaffeinated, not chemically decaffeinated. I have a discount code. I can send that to you. I'll put it in the show notes for this podcast episode that I'm recording right now. And it is even better for you than matcha. So it's amazing. It's amazing. Okay, so here's the deal. The bottom line is that the gut-brain axis is really important to our overall well-being, and the gut and the brain work together synonymously, synergistically, to help us feel optimal. And millions of nerves and millions of neurons run between our gut and our brain, and that if we're feeding our gut and our brain these processed foods, these animal products that don't contain fiber, that don't help us create these short chain fatty acids, and we're drinking these sugary drinks, which can lead to depression, it's a really good day right now, here and now, to start changing the way that we eat. And remember that these neurotransmitters, these chemicals in our brain and in our gut also affect one another, okay? So by altering the bacteria in our gut through the foods that we eat and our exercise and our sleep and so many other things and our stress levels, but start with food, it's going to be very possible to improve our brain health. And that works with our gut. It's just so good. They work together. Remember the omega-3 fatty acids, fermented foods, probiotics, and polyphenol-rich foods may help your gut. I can't talk. May improve your gut health. There we go. And your gut-brain axis. So let's take control of our health and take note that a lot of it starts right with what we eat, what we put in our mouth every single day. All right, be well, take care. I hope that you found value in today's Holistic Hack Live.
I'm over here cheering you on because you just finished another episode of The Urban Pharmacy. For today's show notes, head on over to theurbanpharmacy.com and be sure to join us inside our private Facebook group called The Urban Pharmacy, where we share inspiration, live trainings, and holistic living tips to help you build community and the healthy lifestyle that you've always wanted. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you hit that subscribe button and please consider leaving us a 5-star review. Before we connect again on the next show, follow me on Instagram at The Urban Pharmacy. That's urban with an H and pharmacy with an F. And I can't wait to hear your wellness journey as we get to know each other better. You know, there's truly no better time than now to level up your life, and I am so proud of you for showing up today. Until next time, be well, Health Crusader.